Okay. All right, we are live today. We are analyzing more deals in the St. Louis market today. So today we're browsing a little bit more north. Found a couple of deals here. Not deals, but we don't know we're not the deals yet. So let's kind of go over here. So as always, let's kind of go through from the beginning. You want to go to HUD FMR. HUD FMR, you can come down here and you will be able to see these small area FMRs. The goal of what we're trying to do here is we are trying to grab our fair market rent, which is essentially our rent ceiling. So we go to Missouri, St. Louis County. Now I've been doing St. Louis for about almost every day this week, but we're going to keep going because this is how we build up our understanding of the market so we can figure out whether or not this is a good market for us. So today we're looking at 63031. We're looking at 1965 Flamingo Drive. It's still for sale. It's active. Let's put in some numbers. 139,400. HUD FMR. What I usually typically do is like note down 1810 and 2100, which is your FMR for your 3-bedroom and your FMR for your 4-bedroom. 63031. So I usually come down here, put in the zip code 63031. Great. All right. Now I want to go to affordablehousing.com. I want to go to the market rent estimator. Plug in this address. Note that it's a 4-bedroom property. Boom. All right, let's see what the rent is for this place. Is 1958 is going to be the county, 1842 is the city, 1739 is a zip, and then 1.71 mile radius, 1.71 mile radius. That rent is going to be 1784. So for me, after I see that the market rent is 1784, I'm going to consider this as my floor for the property. So I'm going to go here, come to 1784. My ceiling rent is going to be 2100, and my mid scenario is going to be 90% on my ceiling rent, which is 2100. This helps me understand what my returns are as I kind of run through the scenarios later. Okay, so at 139,400, let's take a look at the rehab. How much is the rehab is? So this is 1965 Flamingo. If you look at the picture right here, you can kind of see, I'm just going to zoom in a little bit. You can kind of see right away that the garage door is, it looks like it's dented in. I'm not sure if there's a better way to describe it. And you see that the garage door at the bottom right here, it's not really, almost like it's not fully aligned with the house. So there might be some garage door replacement at the very minimum. So I'm going to keep that in mind as the estimate of rehab cost for this property. As I go through the back, nothing jumps out to me right away. The floor looks okay. You might have to just refinish it, but if it has wood floors already, you might just be looking at some of the windows, a paint. This kitchen could definitely use a makeover, so maybe you got to renovate the entire kitchen to attract the tier 1 tenant that we always talk about. Okay, so not that many photos, but this allows me to at least get a good gauge on what I need to do for this property. Now, if you want my calculator, just make sure you DM me your email on Instagram, and I can send this to you directly from my email. And let's kind of zoom in really quick so you guys can kind of see all the different estimates. So when we look through outside, this is a estimated rehab sheet that I leveraged off of somebody else, and then I kind of made it my own after I included some specific stuff for short-term rentals and also for my own rehabs based on my experience when I was doing them in Scottsdale and in Alabama. So from this point onwards, we're going to come down here. Don't need the power wall, don't need to paint the exterior. The exterior looks okay, but we might have to do the garage door. So I'm just going to, don't need much here. So I'm going to leave aside $500 to check that on the screen. windows with screen. And then what we're gonna do is have the interior paint. Whoops, just kind of. Sorry guys, 1 second. Let me make sure I get these items in there. Okay, so I'm putting my square footage for painting. All right, painting. The property here is 1479. 1479. I don't need to replace all of the flooring, but I might just refinish it. So I want to do 1479 at $40 a square foot to refinish existing hardwood floors because it looks like it. As I go down, I think I'm gonna replace the entire kitchen at a low end kitchen. That's $8,500 for the entire thing. So that's just one simple over expanding number instead of me trying to put in like individual cabinets and stuff like that. So as I go down to the bathroom, if you notice the photos, there's 2 bathrooms in the listing, but there's no photos of the bathroom. I'm going to assume that they're going to look like crap, so I'm going to say it's a full remodel of each bathroom at $8,000 each. Just a rough estimate there. I'm not adding a bedroom, but there is a garage, so I might be considering turning to a 5-bedroom if the numbers make sense later down the road. But I don't know what the 5-bedroom rents are on FMR, so it might be a conversation that I just need to have with the St. Louis County Housing Authority to figure out whether or not there is an additional opportunity. So right now I have a 45 grand rehab, okay? At a 45 grand of rehab, because I add in a 20% contingency, everything added up to 37 grand, and I add 20% on top just for things that might be unexpected and for items that I simply might have underestimated. Just trying to be a little bit more conservative and trying to figure out if this is a deal or not. Especially if you don't want to waste too much time trying to figure out whether or not something is a deal. You just want to submit an offer. You want to submit a safe offer, quote unquote. Then you want to be a little bit more conservative with your rehabs. Okay, so at 2,100. Right now, I'm assuming 25% down payment, and this assumes a 7.5% interest rate on the loan, assuming you get a conventional loan. Let's plug in our property taxes. So we go to the property taxes in Redfin, it's going to be $188 per month, and then the insurance is going to be $102. So at $102 times 1.2, I add in a 20% premium for the homeowner's insurance. So I just take the 102 and then I multiply it by 1.2. Or 2 times 1.2. That gives me 122.40. I leave aside 10% for maintenance every single month, just assuming there's going to be some repairs eventually. Sometimes the roofs need to get repaired or replaced. The property manager I'm leaving here at 8%, and then a vacancy I'm going to leave it at 3%. So all in all, right now, what this deal comes down to is if I get $2,100 a month, which is my ceiling rent at $139,400, $139,400, that is 8.9% cash on cash return, and then my cash flow per month is $617. And I'm gonna write down a purchase price right here, just so I remember what purchase price is, because I want to play around with my different scenarios and just. See, 3, this is 4. So I want to go through all these scenarios so we can talk about like, hey, is something a deal or not? Okay, so at 1890, what do my numbers equal? Okay, 6.5 cash on cash, and my cash flow per month is 450. 1784, 5.27, 5.3. And the cash flow per month is 368. Okay, so this gives me a pretty good idea of like, hey, in my best case scenario, how much money am I cash flowing a month? And if this is my worst case scenario, what am I going to cash flow a month for this property? This gives me a pretty good idea of the floor because I now know the market rent for a 4-bedroom is $1,784. I also know that at this purchase price, this is probably what my cash return is going to look like. So the next thing you can play around with is you can mess around with all the different levers. So I want to keep the midpoint scenario 1890, being conservative here. What purchase price do I need to buy this property at in order to make it a deal? So if we do 100, now all of a sudden it's a 10.83%. 10.8. And the problem with this property is that it just takes so much out of you because of how high the rehab is, because it's a pretty old home. Okay. The only way to think about it is like, well, what if I get a 5th bedroom? So let's just see how much the rent has gone up from a 4-bed to a 3-bed. And we'll do some quick math there. So I'm gonna do the 4-bed minus 3-bed divided by 3-bed. So it went up by 16%. So what if this goes up by 16% equals 1890 times 1.16? So what if I got 2192 and turn this into a 5-bedroom? In that scenario, I'm gonna be changing the garage. So I was putting $20,000 adding the garage, and now I got this property for $80,000. Still not a deal. So even if I turn this into a 5-bedroom property, and my monthly rent now is $21.92, my cash flow a month right now is $1,000. Oh, that might be good for some people, getting $1,000 cash flow, but the cash return is 13.4, and this assumes an $80,000 purchase price with a 65K rehab. 65K rehab. So these are all the different scenarios that I would be running through my head to see whether or not something is a deal. So what if this was 2,100, right? What if this was ceiling rent, and now I'm getting 2,400, 2,436, 5-bedroom. This is my ceiling, 1194. And then now all of a sudden this is 16.4%. So that gets me closer to my cash and cash return criteria at around $80,000. So at this point in time, I say like, hey, this is probably worth the risk for me putting an offer at like 75 grand. But you're so far away, so you might as well just give a quick call to the agent and see whether or not this is something like that's not going to move for a while. But for you to come that far off the purchase price, it's probably not realistic or not reasonable unless there's some sort of creative deal here. So that was all what I wanted to share today. We just want to kind of go through, analyze the deal together, run through some scenario analysis after you get your. So let's kind of recap all the steps again, so everybody can make sure that they are following. The first thing you want to do when you get a single property is once you determine your zip code, you find your property, find your zip code in the listing 63031, and then what you want to do is go to HUD FMR, and then you will be able to find a small area FMRs. Then you'll be able to find the fair market rents by zip code, by bedroom count. Then I go to affordablehousing.com. I go click on the market rent estimator, plug in your address, plug in your bedroom count, and that gives you sort of the market rate rental assumptions for these properties nearby. So in this case, they use a 1.71 mile radius to find 25 units, so they can help you estimate the rental assumptions, at least in the market for your property. What you then want to do is go through and obviously plug in your purchase price, plug in your rental numbers. I would usually do a couple of scenarios. My floor is usually the market rate. My ceiling is going to be the FMR, which is fair market rent, and then my midpoint scenario is going to be about 90% of the FMR is. I plug in the property taxes from Redfin, and then on the insurance number, I simply take the estimated insurance number on Redfin and I multiply it by 1.2 to put a 20% premium on the property, just because it's an investment property. So chances are the insurance is going to cost a lot more compared to the primary residence insurance. I leave a 10% war chest maintenance, so we can always set aside some money every single month because we know something is going to break in the house eventually, right? Roof is going to have to get replaced, a water heater needs to get replaced, whatever that may be. You need to put that in a separate bank account because that rainy day will come one day. It's unrealistic to expect that you're going to be able to keep all of the rents every single month. You have to set aside some money for repairs. And then we have 8% for property management, and then finally we have 3% for our vacancy, because sometimes people move out and there's going to be empty days that you're not going to be able to fill. We have 25% down payment right now. We are estimating our closing costs at 2.5% of our renovations. 2.5% of our purchase price. And then we go into the rehab calculator. Rehab calculator, if you guys want a copy of this calculator, just make sure you DM me your email at invest with Kent He in LinkedIn. Again, this is not a solicitation for investments. This is not legal, financial, or tax advice. Just full disclaimer there. And then you just go through the photos and do it the best you can. If you want to say like, hey, chances are I'm going to repaint the entire house, that's great. If there's any flooring like that needs to get replaced, I typically don't like to leave carpet in the room. And then for me, then I also put in some numbers for like, hey, how much square footage do I need to replace the flooring on this thing? So all in all, you can kind of plug in and try to make it as standard as possible. Sometimes if you think the entire kitchen needs to be removed, you just kind of plug in like, hey, this is a low-end kitchen or something like that. Plug that in and then use that as a rough number, and then hopefully you can keep most of the stuff. And obviously you're going to need a contractor who can kind of go in this area and help you do some accurate bids for this area. So that's what I wanted to cover today. I'm going to stop sharing. Hopefully this was helpful, guys. If you guys want to join our free Facebook group full of affordable housing investors, please make sure you DM me on Instagram at investwithkenhe with your email. Let me know if you want to get a free invite to our free Facebook group, where my goal is to simply share the resources with all of you guys so that you guys are a little bit less fearful about investing in affordable housing. We can all dispel the myths together. Like, affordable housing is not just guns, drugs, and drama. It's just good, hardworking people just like my parents who came over and needed a place as a launching pad for our family. So please DM me on Instagram at investorkenny with your email if you want to join our free Facebook group, or if you simply want a copy of the calculator I was using. This is just part of our daily habits, where our goal is to underwrite a deal every single day together so we can all get a little bit better. So this is just part of doing the work, and it's not the most fun thing in the world, but it's part of the work, it's part of the process, and that's how you understand how to recognize a deal when something might be a deal based on your own personal investment criteria. Cool. Thank you, and have an amazing Saturday, everybody.